Hello, New York.
Hello, ladies.
Oh my God, there's so many people.
Let me move this mug of water out the way and move my wine closer.
Which is water for us. We are, just as a heads up, we are hungover. We are very hungover. We got to Boston last night for our first show, which was amazing.
Really great.
Boston's no longer racist because we were there. We solved it. It was amazing. And we arrived, and I said, Saeed Jones, I'm not drinking. And Saeed Jones said, yes, you are. There's a margarita down the street.
I said, you got me fucked up.
Yeah. So we began drinking a lot of margaritas before the show.
One margarita and I dug it.
Yeah, that song. But we're here. We're so excited to be here for our very first live show that's going to be recorded and out later this year. So thank you for being here tonight.
This will be in your... Yeah, thank you. Oh, y'all are so beautiful. Low bar I know for podcast audiences, but our audience is very attractive. We're hot. Y'all are fucking hot. Okay, I'll say that. But I guess we should get into this gig and do it officially.
Yes, officially we should do this.
I'm Saeed Jones.
And I'm Zach Stafford, and you are listening to Vibe Check. Yeah, you get it. All right.
Wait. So one thing I want to say about the theme music that I love is, so we were asked to, for feedback about theme music for the show 2 weeks before Break My Soul came out. And I was like, this is a podcast, 3 Black queer men, a lot of relationships to the Midwest, of course, where house music comes from. And then 2 weeks later, I was like, see, Beyonce gets it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was in our group chat. Y'all don't know that. Oh, yeah. That's where the music comes from, before Break My Soul came out. But with that, you probably want to know what we're doing tonight, besides trolling Penn Badgley, which we're really excited about. But we want to begin tonight. We had this whole idea before we got on the road of what we were going to talk about, what the topics were going to be, and they all got thrown out. Because I texted Saeed yesterday before we were drinking, and I was like,
I was drinking when you texted.
You were drinking when, yeah. And they really wanted us to talk about loneliness. And I was like, oh my God, it's Pride. Why do I have to talk about loneliness again? Again. And I said, you know what I want to talk about, Saeed? Delusion.
I said, bitch.
And it is an ode to our dear friend Kimberly Drew, who has been texting me, I think she's here today, delusionally for a year now. And she has just been an inspiration to me. So tonight we're going to talk about delusion, the power of it, and when you girls need to check out of your delusions.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have a conversation with Penn Badgley. Yep. But before we get into that, Saeed Jones, beyond being hungover, how are you today?
Oh, why you got to steal that from me? Steal the talking point. I'm good. I mean, first of all, I was saying when I was backstage, I've been coming into NY since I was in graduate school. This stage is where I was able to see Toni Morrison in person for the first time. I was in graduate school, this like probably fall, I think, of 2008. I think A Mercy might have been the book that she was here to talk about. And it was like Beyonce tickets. It was like I saw the announcements, wherever it was posted, probably on Facebook. And I just remember I bought 4 tickets as a graduate student, spending money, 4 tickets without even talking to, I was like, I'll find people. I went to Rutgers, Newark, and it was just so funny because I'm not from this part of the country, and I didn't understand the New Jersey-New York divide. It's real. I was like, okay, I got 3 extra tickets to see Toni Morrison. I'm in an MFA program. I'm studying creative writing. It was like pulling teeth. Everyone was like, we have class. Then I said, bitch, I know. I was like, what do you think? I told the professor, I'm going to see Toni Morrison. I was like, how many Nobel Prizes do you have?
0, probably 0. Is there something she said that night that has really influenced you today?
What I think about, and not so much what she said. Well, one, I remember, we're like the book signing space. I remember she had her fur coat thrown over the piano.
Yeah.
Love that. It was her calmness. And I think a lot of people remark upon this. Toni Morrison was the kind of person an interviewer would say, you're one of the greatest novelists alive, and she would just go, you know what I mean? And it was earned. It's the truth. 2 + 2 = 4. And Toni Morrison was the great American writer, still is. And there was just something about seeing a Black woman who has lived through what she lived through calmly. Accepting that truth. And I think that's what stays with me.
Yeah, that also reminds me of when Whoopi Goldberg looked at Beyonce at The View and said, you are Beyonce. And she said, thank you. Thank you.
What a compliment.
What a compliment.
What a compliment.
I am Beyonce.
Yeah. So my vibe is I just, what a delight to go from, I think I was sitting up there, in the rafters, and I'm sitting on stage.
Delusion works, honey.
Delusion works.
It works. We're here to tell you the good word. Delusion works.
Yeah, he was like, you want to talk to a delusion? I was like, bitch, I'm a poet. Of course we can talk about delusion.
He said to me, he goes, my poems are delusion. And I was like, what?
Yeah, I have a whole theory on it.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
So that's my vibe. I'm honored. I'm delighted. I am proud during Pride Month. Yeah. What's your vibe?
My vibe is proud but tired.
Real.
But I'm excited because this Pride, I feel like I'm in like the backseat of Pride. I used to, before we did the show, I was the editor-in-chief of The Advocate, and I was like gay for pay for many, many years. Still gay for pay in some ways. Not the way you're thinking.
Okay, this happens all the time when we're recording. Zach is very fast with his jokes, and so I'll miss something until I'm listening on Wednesday, and I'm like, did this bitch say gay for pay?
I did. He this week was like, he came to Boston, he goes, Sunday boyfriend. I had one.
I was like, I do have a Sunday boyfriend.
Because he looked at me so crazy when I said I used to have Sunday boyfriends before I was in a very serious relationship. Like, in the pre-times, my Chicago days, I would have a Sunday boyfriend, where it's just a day-long boyfriend. And Saeed Jones goes, what is that? Came to Boston, said, girl, I've had many. And I said, I know you have. I have seen them. So, anyway, but this year, it feels like my life isn't as corporate pride as it used to be, which is nice. So when I'm hungover, like I am right now, and I wake up tomorrow, I don't have to do much besides do the things that I want to do, which is going to Dyke March tomorrow.
And I mean, to be clear, yeah. And I mean, he's saying this in the context of someone who was the first black editor of The Advocate magazine.
Yeah. The first.
So like, you're right, gay for pay.
Yeah, I was the first and I was the last. So, that's the problem with those first.
And there's media.
That is media for you.
Anna Wintour, are you, how you, Edward Enfield is in the room. I don't know, Law Roach,
wow.
Got any thoughts on
Wow. Oh my God. Wow, we're going to be messy.
I'm going to have to continually remind myself that this will be.
Yes, it will be live. Yeah.
Okay, it's fine.
It's being live streamed right now.
It's fine.
And Anna Wintour does have Google, so anyway, I'm now shook beyond belief. I had a point to make and I've lost it all.
Well, so then if you don't have to perform or like professionalize pride, and I was an LGBT editor in a newsroom, and I know what that feels like. I was like, if I see one more fucking bottle of Absolute vodka, I'm gonna scream. My desk they just kept coming. They wouldn't go away.
It makes you, being an editor of anything queer, makes you hate rainbows. Like, it storms and you don't want to look outside. You're like, I can't look. There may be a rainbow.
I think Mariah Carey is the only person who seems to actually have a positive relationship to that.
And she deserves.
Well, she makes so much damn money from it.
Listen, she is the gay GDP, but yeah.
So, but how do you, so you're just relaxed, easy?
I think my version of Pride now is being relaxed, not going to Pride. I go to the marches still, I show up, but I don't need to make it so corporate and everything. So I like to do things like this with y'all now, where we get to talk about real things. Yeah.
I love that. You deserve.
Thank you.
I'm sure we're going to be talking about Pride all night, but let us first say Happy Pride, New York City. Thank you to the black trans women. Thank you to the sex workers.
Amen.
Thank you to the unhoused people. Thank you to our elders and our ancestors who rioted at Stonewall for 6 days and nights. 6 days and nights. It wasn't always a parade, baby, and we need to remember that. But yes, I love a good. All right, look, I like a little, church banter. Yeah. All right, I see you, baby. I love that. I love that.
We are black and we grew up in the South, so you can talk to us.
And of course, since this is a recording, we do have to say, of course, thank you for being here with us in New York City, live and in person. Thank you for the emails, the DMs, the tweets. We love it. This is a moment. Since we're talking about Pride, let me drag white gay men for a moment. While we're here.
We don't have the license to badam, so
Did you see the badam email? Did I send it to you?
No.
I got an email, I'm not going to name his name, so don't say his name. I got an email from a passionate listener of Vibe Check who said, first of all, and my friend Ellen, if she's here, Hey, yay, hi, baby. I think I showed Ellen this email. One was like, Padam, the fact that it hasn't charted yet, which is what we talked about with Sam, a week or so ago. He was like, has nothing to do with its cultural impact. And his examples were, and this is why his examples, he was like, for example, Mad Men and The Sopranos were not like the highest, like numbers of their time. And I'm like, so Padam is the Don Draper of gay
It's the
club
Betty Draper,
music?
yeah.
All right, I guess we'll check back next summer. But thank you for your emails and your feedback. And you can always, of course, stay in touch with us, vibecheck@stitcher.com. But now that I've dragged at least 1/4 of the audience.
And I have to say, what you guys are missing out on, and I wonder if they'll release this and hold this over our head, is we spent 30 minutes yesterday talking about the submarine. And that with Saeed Jones was, wow.
Ooh.
That was, yeah. So we're going to move past that.
That will not be airing, but
yeah,
it was good.
It has to be pulled. And they tricked us because they were piping our show into the campus of Boston University on the streets.
At one point, someone was asking, I guess during the Q&A, and someone was asking about sex and kink, and you'll have an opportunity to ask for some life advice questions, so think about that now. And I was answering this question about sex, and I looked up, and there was like a college student on the sidewalk out by the speakers and just standing. And I was like, oh, how rare you actually get to see someone like have a, rite of passage right before your eyes. Incredible. But
I love you. Really. You say the things I think and don't say. Yeah. And probably wouldn't say because my mother's always like hanging around somewhere.
Love your mom. Love your mom.
Yeah.
But let's jump in, shall we?
Let's do it.
It's good music, right? It's good.
Shimmy. Yes.
Shimmy a little bit. I love our theme music. I love it, and like the little camera clicks. It's very good. It's very good. Anyway, okay, so we are going to talk about delusion, delulu, as I like to call it. And so something I've been thinking about is, usually we obviously talk about delusion as something to be wary of, something to. I'm sorry, I saw a white man walking towards us.
I got nervous. I'm sorry. I had to say, you seem like a wonderful person. But there was a white man holding something in his hand coming towards us.
I said, now wait.
And I said, I know New York is New York, but we are still in New York. And I'm like,
woo. Everyone over here saw me like.
Y'all. See, this is why black people were on that boat, because we know.
All right,
sorry.
They're passing out cards, so if you have life advice questions, you can think about it and we'll collect them later. That was so funny. I love live events. But so often, of course, when we think about delusion, which is defined essentially as having a false relationship to reality, a false belief about either yourself or your external environment, despite incontrovertible evidence to the contrary, right? And so, generally I think we say that's not good. It's not good to be delusional, but life is hard. Yeah. And I'm always thinking about how life is asking so much more of us. And so, what else can I tap into? Not just to survive and thrive. And so I was like, well, can delusion be productive?
Yeah.
That's where we're starting.
That's where we're starting. And for us, we know that delusion is on a spectrum like many things. And the delusion we're talking about is the delusion we see on TikTok. An example we wanted to play, you already know where we're going with this. People who think the Chipotle guy is flirting with you because he gave you extra rice. No, girl. He's not flirting with you. He just put rice. Maybe. But I don't know if I'd flirt with someone that's eating a Chipotle bowl as someone who eats a lot of Chipotle bowls. Because one of my claim to fames, you don't know this or may know this.
Very excited for wherever.
My first claim to fame in life, I wrote for Huffington Post, and I coined 2 terms. Top privilege, which is privilege that tops have in gay sex. Because they don't have to prepare.
That's just called patriarchy. Continue.
Yes. But that was the essay. But within the essay, I said everyone knows that if you're a bottom, you cannot have Chipotle before sex.
Oh. Or you can.
Or you can.
A very different kind of experience.
Or that could be
a
different type of experience for you. And to this day, people come up to me and say, you make me think about Chipotle differently every time. So. Anyway.
I eat a salad every time I think of you, Zach.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. But no, this is the type of delusion we're talking about. It's like when you have these moments where you romanticize life, where you are seeing someone across the bar and you're like, they're looking at me, I feel so pretty, and you're using this moment to hype yourself up. And that's where we really want to take delusion today. It's about that self-fantasy, that self-actualization that happens around you, because we know it's a really wonderful thing. And someone I was thinking a lot about today, and he's actually the reason, not the reason, but the beginnings of our podcast, was Andre Leon Talley.
Yes.
Speak to Anna Wintour. Andre Leon Talley, who passed away in 2020 due to complications with COVID, was a delusional queen.
Might have been 2021.
2021, yes. Delusional queen. Love her to death. But she was so delusional that she said, I, as a black, fat, queer person from the South, deserve to be in fashion, even though they're going to be super racist to me, not even see me as valuable, underpay me. But no matter all of that reality around me, I'm going to create fantasy to push me through these spaces and create a life that's bigger and bigger, bigger, and it worked for him. And he was one of our first conversations on NPR that launched the show. And I feel like he's the type of delusion we want to talk about today. So, Saeed, is there, as a black queer person, is there any delusion that you've used to kind of rocket yourself through this life that you've lived?
Yeah, to talk about, like, as a writer, first of all, you have to be delusional. I'm not just a writer, a poet. I'm able to, like, and look, it worked, bitch. I pay my bills reading poems. Know me. But yeah, I think as a black queer person, I think sometimes we like intuitively understand things. We might not logically understand it. But I think on some part of me, it was like, no one's ever gonna hold a gun to my head and say, Saeed, you've got to write a poem today.
Yeah.
You know, no one was going to say, now you can do it. Now you're a real writer. Like at some point, especially early on as an artist, right, you just have to believe. You have to believe. And that got me into my writing classes, that got me into my MFA program. And then more significantly, when I was just working, and teaching in Newark, New Jersey, teaching 9th and 12th grade English. And I was just so exhausted when every day I couldn't read, I couldn't do anything when I get home. But I realized, I was like, I'm gonna wake up one day and haven't written a poem, I'll never write that first book, and that will be akin to a soul death for me. That's unacceptable. So for me, like an example of the delusion was, I knew by the time I got home I wouldn't be able to read a book or write, but for an entire semester I would pick a different poetry collection off my shelf every morning and just have it in my bag with me at work. It was just there. I think maybe twice I was able to open it up during like a lunch break and read a poem. But more times than not, it was like this private understanding of who I am, who I was with me. You know what I mean? And I think, yeah, it was like, I am a teacher. I love my students. My students were incredible. It's always the adults that are the problem. I loved my students, but I was like, but I'm a writer. I'm a writer who is teaching right now.
Yeah. I love that, because writers, when I was an editor, I would say the craziest job that you can have in the world is to be a writer, because you wake up every day and fail all day long. And that's the process of writing.
I mean, no, the craziest job you can do is like working for Elon Musk.
Well, that's actually, yeah. For the purposes of this talk, I'm saying.
Yeah, perfect. Got it.
But yeah, that's a wild job to take if you work for Elon Musk.
Is there an example of productive delusion that, and I guess when I say productive, I think of either, delusion could be like, your life is falling apart, everything is bad, and the delusion may be, today is gonna be a better day.
Yeah.
Today is gonna be a better day. It can be like a kind of American Beauty, Annette Bening, I will sell this house.
Yes.
But also, so it's like, survival, hope, but also, where it can kind of move you to another part of your life.
Yeah.
Happen for you?
Yeah, I got really excited when I said that, yes. I had this, and I shared this with you yesterday. The example that came to me was, I was once 21, it was a while ago, and it was Lollapalooza weekend in Chicago. And I did not have tickets to Lollapalooza because I was broke. So I stuck into a club that was having an after party for Lollapalooza. And at this club, Lindsay Lohan was DJing. If you know anything about me on the show, I love a rich white woman. Like
We know.
That's why I'm so excited Penn Badgley's here, because he has a lot of rich white women in his life, in his shows.
I gave Penn Badgley a reading assignment about Zadie Smith and Lydia Tarr, and he read it, and we're going to talk about it.
Yes, a very accomplished.
The richest of white women, Lydia Tarr.
Lydia Tarr, yeah, who I love. But I really wanted to meet Lindsay Lohan for some reason. I don't know why. And so I went up to the bouncer. I mean, I was really interested. This is cool, yeah. So I told the bouncer, I walked up to the bouncer of the DJ booth, and I said, "Hi, my name is Zach Stafford. I'm with GQ." Girl, I was not with GQ. And he said, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "I just need to take photos of Lindsay and the other folks in here for a spread with my iPhone at the time." It's not the iPhone we have today. This is like old iPhone, first iPhone. They let me in. And I then, in this moment, yeah, shaking. Lindsay Lohan, "Hi, I'm Zach Stafford with GQ." Don't Google it. What happens when you lie like that, and part of this is delusion, is you gotta take a little bit of truth, because I was a writer, I was a blogger. I didn't work for GQ, but I could imagine that for myself. And in that moment, I enacted what I thought a GQ journalist did at the time. And I got my time with Lindsay. But then they looked at me like, "Aren't you gonna take pictures of other people now?" I just spent the whole evening taking pictures of girls who were delusional in their dresses, hanging out with Lindsay Lohan. So that's where I got stuck there. But in that moment, I was so inspired by this kind of, the power you get within media, of this being able to tell a story, to be in a space, to document it, to pay witness to something happening, even if it's a Lollapalooza event. And I knew I wanted to be a writer, so I began pitching these outlets that I obsessed over. And I got so many no's. So no's that I could build a house with. And I would use these no's to figure out how to get a yes. So I'd pitch the New Yorker. I literally pitched the New Yorker as an undergrad. They were like, "Hell no." And I was like, "Why?" And they told me why. So I kept that in a document. I pitched GQ. They told me no. I kept it in a document. And that led me to eventually getting published. And from there, I kept building, because I used all these no's that kind of rocked my delusion and built a yes out of it. So it does lead somewhere sometimes.
It makes me think of the poet Nikki Finney. She won, a Black queer Southern writer, won the National Book Award a few years ago. And I got to take a writing workshop with her. This was 2012, so she must have won it the previous year. And she gives, you can find it online. She gave a beautiful acceptance speech that she'd already written. And it was very beautiful, but also some people, because writers are, writers, always looking for their angle to have something to say, And some people were like, "Oh, you wrote your speech already? That's a little arrogant. That's a little," you know what I mean? Because that's the other thing, right? Like, there's a relationship, I think, between delusion and determination, confidence, right? And so it was so interesting, because she brought it up in the workshop, and she was like, "Yeah, I got this criticism." And she said, "There are moments in your life where a door is going to open. Mm-hmm. And that door only opens for a few seconds." And she said, "If you don't already have something in your hands, why walk through?" And I just think about that all the time, because I think that is something, like productive to delusion, giving ourselves hope, particularly, I guess, frankly, as Black queer people. Yeah. You're looking at two Black gay men in America who statistically should not be alive, right? So the incontrovertible evidence is basically America. It is our government. It is the very concept of our country says that Zach and Saeed should not be able to comfortably be here having this conversation, right? And so delusion is also just like literally kind of swimming upstream, saying, "No, I have something in my hands."
Yeah, and I think, and we're seeing that evidence of what you're pointing to in these attacks on drag queens around the country. Yeah. Drag queens are my favorite delusions. They're delusional girls.
You think that's why like they're so afraid of drag queens?
Yes.
And trans people? Yes. Non-binary people?
Yes. What I think Alok told this to me a long time ago, years ago. Alok Vaidmanand, the amazing writer, activist who's been on the stage too. Alok said to me, and now said it publicly, that people are so afraid of trans people and gender non-conforming people because they're so free. And we had a deep conversation about it, and Loco was like, "Yeah, think about it. You got these cis guys who grew up in a world that said, you gotta do this, you gotta wear this, you gotta walk like this, and you see someone not doing it and being happy, and you were told you had to do all of that to be happy, and you're not. So you're angry, and you're reacting from that space.
A lot of bitterness.
A lot of bitterness. And I think what I learned, I grew up, when I was in college faking being a GQ journalist, I was actually working on a documentary as an intern that got coffee and did all the bullshit work on that about effeminate gay men in America called 50 Faggots. So I was with drag queens constantly in 2008, and they were creating fantasy out of, they weren't paid anything. They were on welfare, but they were having to create a fantasy at night and create these moments for people. And what I think they offer us is that no matter how hard life is, you can find joy, and that joy can be the thing that releases you. I mean, Beyonce talks about that in Break My Soul. It's really like you may quit your job, you may be going through the worst, but you can dance and find joy in that. So I do think these Republicans look at drag as this expansive freedom, and they need to consolidate it because that delusion is actually making people realize that the delusion that is America isn't real.
Because we're invoking Paul, I know yes for that. I know we need to move on, but just one more example as you were saying that, and thinking of Ballroom and thinking of the Peer Kids and shows like, documentaries like Paris is Burning or shows like Pose, and I just think of MJ Rodriguez's award-winning performance as Blanca. In the opening season, that whole story, her delusion, right, is I am a mother. Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? I am a mother. I am going to create a family no matter what. No matter the incontrovertible evidence of my circumstance, And so I also want to offer that it's not necessarily just about believing in yourself. It's also also the productive delusion of believing in your capacity to create a home for other people in this world. I think that's really noble.
Yeah, and we have to use delusion right now so much because there are delusional people, Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump,
they're delusional people doing yoga on the top of the Edge building when it's like the sky. I'm like, girl, it looks like fucking Blade Runner. Why are you doing a sun salutation, girl? Get
when there's no sun.
Put on a mask.
Yeah, that is dark. People be doing. But yes, to your point, the yogis on the building and Donald Trump, same people. Yes, those people.
Get down.
Are living delusionally, and their delusion is harming so many of us. If you're black, you're queer, you're a woman, you're trans, all these things. And that delusion can only be combated with your own delusion. So I think we need to release our delusion, lie to more men this summer, lie to men forever.
It's what they deserve.
It's what they deserve. Why do they deserve it, Saeed Jones?
And so we're going to take a break for now, but actually I realize when we come back, we're going to talk with Penn Badgley about a different kind of delusion. So we'll be right back.
It's so weird doing that with you right here, because usually Sam goes to the bathroom.
I go to the restroom.
He goes to the restroom. I sit there and stare at my screen, and the producers are not on the screen. So anyway,
I go to the restroom and I check the phone to make sure, Has Donald Trump been indicted again, like in the last 20 minutes? Who's to say?
Who knows? Maybe. Doesn't matter. Who knows? Well, with that, we need to know something that does matter, and that's Penn Badgley. And we're so excited to welcome him to the stage today to talk to us about all the things, how to stalk men, how to kill men, how to hide men, all these things, yeah. So welcome Penn Badgley, everybody. Woo! Thank you. Penn whispered in my ear.
I just want to say that I would not eat Chipotle before any type of sex.
Oh, okay.
There's actually almost nothing I would eat Chipotle before. I'm just going out there.
Unpack that.
Wow, you plunged us like this immediately. I was like, well, what kind of sex is Penn Badgley having? Okay, go on.
Here is a delusion. Chipotle.
Why is that delusional? Because I think it's really healthy. That's been my delusion.
It's not.
That's a delusion.
Where's Craig?
That is a delusion.
Chipotle is not a sponsor of the podcast Vibe Check.
Yes.
Or Podcrushed.
It's also not very cheap.
Okay, tea.
Yeah,
right?
tea.
I mean,
yes.
it's not like, that's a little bit of a delusion. Can we go on?
I love the idea of Chipotle being like the jumping off point for class warfare. Like, it's so expensive. We need to talk about this.
Yeah, we could do. You could enter into any point and we could get there.
Wow. Okay. Well, Penn, before we get to the actual first question,
let's talk about my show. We can get to class warfare.
No, but I want to ask you, what is your food of choice?
My what?
Your food of choice, like your fast food of choice.
My fast food of choice. If it's gonna be fast food, I guess it would probably be McDonald's. Okay. But I mean, we're talking fast food here, right? And it's like there's something. Even when I didn't have money, I didn't like it. You know what I did then was Taco Bell. But I would not eat Taco Bell now.
Well, you eat Taco Bell when you're drunk.
I was like, Taco Bell's a little more stressful than Chipotle.
Well, Chipotle didn't exist then.
You eat Taco Bell, set a timer, honey.
Yeah. That's.
You're renting that meal.
Saeed Jones. Oh.
The restaurant on lease.
I can't believe
maybe?
I was like, yeah, so Penn's gonna come out. We're gonna talk about like Zadie Smith and
Yeah, let's
you know
do it.
the,
I mean, I am a
culture
fan.
of fame. And we're like, girl, let's talk about GI issues.
Yeah.
The root of
Anyway.
all disease is inflammation.
Well, let's start here. Can you think of an example for yourself where you had like a productive delusion, something where like either it helped you?
Dude, being an actor.
Okay, I figured. I didn't want to
interview's
put words
over.
in your mouth.
That's delusion on top of delusion on top of delusion, and then there's so many reflected delusions. There's not. I mean, statistically speaking, no one makes it, even if you are the whitest of white manly men. I mean, you know, you're just still, statistically speaking, you've failed once you've gone to so-called Hollywood. And so, I mean, it's just, and even as you continue to make it, like, you know, this idea that you know, if you just get that one project, then you can do what you want.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for 25 years, you know, and it's all quite delusional, you know. Now that said, I really like what you guys are doing. You're recasting the word,
Yeah.
redefining it. I mean, I actually think what you're talking about is a reality in the face. I mean, that is what you're saying. Clearly, it's a beautiful, like, poetic
Thank you.
thing.
I have my moments.
Thank you, Penn Badgley.
That'll be the next book blurb.
Yeah. I mean, you know, yeah, I think you're talking about like glimpses of reality in the face of a giant, violent delusion, which is, you know, many aspects of our culture. But yeah, being an actor is quite delusional. It's really, 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 really delusional. And then, you know, you have these beautiful moments where you glimpse something quite profound. Even playing this absurd romantic serial killer,
Yeah.
you know, it's fully delusional.
Yeah.
He's quite charming.
Yeah. His delusion
I see
is
the
charming.
allure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that's its own thing. I mean, yes, I've gone on record many times saying this. I don't think it's going to surprise anybody. I mean, he's never meant to have been a clinical portrayal of a serial killer, right? He's much more of a construct to represent all of our toxic misconceptions of love and how if you follow that logic, they become, it usually is like, well, you realize we're not talking about love, we're talking about possession.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about objectification,
Yeah.
control, and so therefore that kind of, what's the end of that is a box, and then what's the end of a box is you suffocate, and I'm already thinking of submersible allegory. We can't do it. We can't do it.
We can go there.
We can't do it.
Do you want to talk about subs? All types of subs?
I feel like I don't
I've
have
already been trying so
hard not to.
We can get it out of our
is,
system.
In fact, quite difficult.
Yeah.
To not talk
Also,
about
what
it.
I will say, if it's any comfort,
Yeah.
my thing that I keep reminding
Oh
myself,
my
and
God, I
I
know
tweeted
what
this,
you're
is
gonna
I
say.
do think it is moral to mock wild hubris.
Yeah.
Like allegories and
Yeah.
parables like exist for a reason because we're supposed to go like you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. I mean, Jesus, it was called the Titan, and I said this, but like as a Greek mythology expert, which is to say a faggot.
T. Yeah. Y'all understand
Zeus-
that all gay men read Greek mythology.
Zeus,
right?
Hades,
Okay.
and Poseidon imprisoned the Titans at the bottom of the sea after they fight.
Is that true?
Even
Yes.
Disney has it in the Hercules
It's a whole movie. Yes.
Yes.
Big
It's a
plot point
jail at
in
the
the movie.
bottom of
Yeah.
the sea.
And those 5 white men got in that and said, "I'll come back." No.
Wait, were they all?
No,
They
no.
weren't all. I just read. Can we cut this out? Were they all
can.
white?
No. Oh.
Yeah, wasn't one Pakistani?
Oh, damn it. Cut that out. The mostly white.
Billionaire. Now, this is where I mean, you want to like the reality. But billionaires.
Yeah, the billionaires. Okay, great.
So
Or
that
the
does
billionaires
something
got on the
to
boat.
one's-
Y'all can keep it. I don't care.
Well, let's.
When do we say thoughts and prayers? When do we say
we're
it?
going.
When- can
I
we
would
say-
say we're going to hell, but we're already there.
Yeah.
Hell is just climate change.
Well, can I? I want to like keep going on this love thread that you're pulling out because what I
Oh, great. Yeah. Was I pulling
Yeah,
out a
you're
love
pulling,
thread?
yeah,
I came
you're
out and said Chipotle.
Yeah, you love.
I get-
You're being considerate. You said you don't eat Chipotle before anything. So Penn Badgley, I'm saying let's get married. Like that's.
Okay.
But no, what I love about you, the show, not you,
Not me.
is I love you, but I love you.
Do you get that pun a lot? Like, is that just like an ongoing?
That pronoun joke is
about you.
so dead to me. It's. I mean, it just.
You go to J.K. Rowling and be like, you know who's sick of pronouns?
Happy Pride. Yeah, that was it. Wow. Yeah.
I feel like we're doing.
This is what happens when Sam's not here. We're just like all over the place.
What happens?
What was I talking about?
I have
Love.
the question. Love.
Control.
So,
Right.
okay, I'll just get to the point. Penn, your fans are delusional.
Yes.
They
True.
love a serial killer. Why?
And how does it
that.
feel? How does it feel?
Yeah.
Well, so, okay, I've thought about this. Let's see, you know, I will try not to stare into what is like a black abyss because the lights are so bright, and I will try to look into your faces, which will keep me on track.
Yep.
But it's deep, you know, because look, statistically speaking, let's talk about statistics a lot. Always bring those into the conversation.
I love statistics.
I don't know what they are, but I know that like being killed by... I know that being killed by a serial killer is statistically like it's low, you know? It's like sharks and lightning and airplanes are far more likely. Orcas.
Yes, especially now, yeah.
Yes. So you know, the disproportionate fear of serial killers signifies, of course, an obsession. Now, it's not for nothing. True crime as a genre is, look, I'm trying to produce things in the delusion that is Hollywood right now, and if you want to make something, like make something true crime, like you know that it will get sold.
Like, right away.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's still hard, no doubt, and there's still versions of that are made that are very good, but as a genre, you just know that it sells, and we know that it's a predominantly female audience consuming that kind of content, and you know, and who is the victim of a serial killer, but often a woman. I mean, there's something.
I've always thought the truth. I'm just gonna. I'm saying what a few people in the audience remember. It's white women's business.
It feels that way.
What is the real? But for real. But because I've genuinely I've genuinely.
I know the answer.
Wondered about what you're saying. Because there's something. Okay, one, it's like Joe is a serial killer who also has all of these fans who are attracted to it. Him, but also. True crime, right, is this very
its own
popular
thing.
genre,
Yeah.
and like a large demographic of those fans are women. Are white.
Huge.
What's going on? What's the triangle between gender, race?
Oh man. Well, I mean, I really could. We could.
We went from statistics to geometry. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
right. And I didn't even.
need a whiteboard.
I didn't graduate high school. Man. Well, you know. Okay, so. Remember we said before, it's like how do you get into that? Because it's a lot. Yeah. And I just know that what I think about in it actually is our conception of power, as we think about power. Now, I just said now like I really know what I'm talking about.
Delusion. There you go.
Yes, a delusion. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Delusion got me here. It's going to keep me going. I think that people, at least in the case of my show, it helps me, you know, I get feedback. And a lot of people have said, I'll try not to like spoil the end of this season, but there's something that happens where people are like, oh, he's finally kind of embraced who he truly is. And there's this connotation that there's power in that. And I think the truth is, you know, we see a serial killer as somehow being, now I'm saying this because I don't think so, right? But I'm going to say it, and then if it's taken out of context, I will have to do a lot of explaining. But that they're confident. They're doing something that is actually somehow like they're stepping past, so many social thresholds, and they're doing something that is, they're making a decision to take another person's life, which is a decision that not that many people make, and we see that as, yes. I realized as I said it, I was like,
I also hate.
What are the statistics on that?
Look, I'm intentionally, just holding the mic down so I can shut up.
We have a guest.
Like, you forgot what country you're in, friend.
Yeah, right. So yes, there are many levels to that. I'm well aware. But the manner in which a serial killer kills is distinct. I think.
Think or know?
Between the three of us, if anyone would know, it'd be you.
Yeah, you would be the one.
As though I have done research, sir. I am delusional.
Yeah,
I get in front of that camera. No.
Oh my God. Well, can we ask some
Let
advice?
me just finish this one thing. I'm sorry, and you can cut this out.
Go.
I don't know if it. So it's like I think it's because we, as a delusional society, and we meaning like this sort of white male default perspective, we see power as power over.
Yes.
Now that's not the same as power to. Power to is mutual, is mutualism. Power over is competition, and that
Forbidden.
And these are the operating systems. Like you can't really believe that both are equally powerful. And actually, if you really break it down logically, power over is a small subset. That power to is, if you can empower someone while you are gaining power, that's far more powerful. If power is something that you have to take from somebody, well, then that's kind of pathetic, and it's smaller. So I think the serial killer mythology comes from a really narrow and sad but prevalent conception that power is something to be jealously guarded and stolen and coveted. So within that,
Bars. Bars from Mr. Penn Badgley.
Right? So within that, you can talk about race, gender, and class all you want. You know, it's like it's a pyramid.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's why I wanted to finish because I
No,
was
that was
stumbling
great.
around.
That was
but
good.
that's-
Landed the plane.
Yeah, I did. It's a Denzel Washington flight. Like only the few that should try.
I was like, Penn, I have a
Like,
parachute.
I need to cut him off.
You got us there. You got us.
Only one drinking water up here, and I'm just.
Well, my follow-up to that, I love that beautiful framework that you're offering us around serial killers, why we obsess over them, because true crime is a huge content area across podcasts, television, et cetera. And a lot of it, there's been lots of theories to why. One of them is that we're all very anxious. I'm very anxious. You all seem anxious. You listen to podcasts, so that makes you
Look and say, y'all
Yep,
seem
y'all
anxious?
seem anxious, yeah. I see my girls.
Jittery.
And it does allow us to kind of work through some of our anxieties, seeing people make decisions that we think we would never make.
Yeah.
Ever, which some of you probably would make, so, whatever. But what I really want to know is, like, why is it that people with your characters, specifically Joe, they want to be treated like Joe treats these women? And what does that say about our ideas of love within that power structure?
The tweets are,
aggressive.
it's intense. It's
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I don't.
It's one thing to be like, oh, like Joe Goldberg, like, he's really compelling character, he's, kind of hot on screen or whatever. It's a very different thing I don't even want to say some of the things I saw people tweet.
Yeah.
Like, and it's always like, it's about this character but to you. There's a lot going on.
Well, there's, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Hey, how many people can stand in front of a billboard with their face on it that says "you"? To them, it's like, that's me. And it says "you."
Still you.
That's a strange, really strange. Just having to fight the narcissism off every day with the, what was the question?
Love.
About love.
Love, yeah. Like, what does it say about
Yeah, what
our
does it say
feelings
about
about
our
love?
feelings about? Well, I feel similarly about power as I do love. I think we have so many misconceptions that aren't actually it. So we've dropped a lot of incredible authors today. One, Bell Hooks wrote I think in 2000, which is very recently, all about love, new visions.
Yes.
This is something that I thought, because it was so canon and so iconic, that somehow it had been absorbed culturally, and I, through osmosis, had received its teachings, and I was like, yeah, I just just wasn't interested in it. I'd just seen it plenty of times. I picked it up recently, and I'm just like,
It slaps.
this is still being ignored. This is still like, so she basically, very early on in the book, you don't have to get very far, clarifies that most of what we define as love is actually something called cathexis, which is investing feelings and emotions in someone or something, but that love, and she takes the definition from earlier research, but she uses it throughout much of the book, is the will to, so this is love, as defined by people who seem to really know something. The will to extend oneself for the sake of one's own or another's spiritual growth. And, that is not like the way that we tell stories around love, mostly. It's
That's not like the fairy tale.
No, not at all. And, and the feelings that we associate with love have a lot more to do with, like, they're more like the hit of a chemical substance that you need because you're soothing from trauma.
It's like a drug hit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is what we characterize as love is really more like an unhealthy coping mechanism because we live in such a delusional society. Can I go on?
I think. Look, this white man almost got an amen from you. Let me slow the fuck down.
I was like creeping out of Saeed's throat.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah.
Juneteenth ain't a week past, and here I'd be like, that is. Down, Saeed.
So really, I mean, I think like when we talk about love, we're not really talking about love.
Right.
We're actually not talking about love. Like we're talking about something that is a delusion, and it's a cultural level delusion, like so many of them. And then of course because we live in such a like white male dominant patriarchy, words, but we do. that term is being siphoned of its meaning, but we do. It's real. Because of that, everybody other than a white man who's perceived as a white man is receiving like I know everybody knows this, but it's just like is receiving different degrees of consumption, and so this really intense thing that's happening culturally is that like we're selling to now. This is I say this with sensitivity, but I feel like we are selling women's trauma back to them.
Ooh, that was an amen out there. Yes,
girl. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Not Penn Badgley taking us to church.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was nervous before I
My soul
said
looks
it.
back and wonder how I got over. My God. But damn.
Not today.
I'm shook. Okay, wait. Okay,
Well, come on. Yeah.
I have a few more questions before we gotta let you go.
What's my
I have to ask you about Zadie Smith. Actually,
Please.
It's a delight to hear you speaking about bell hooks and other writers. And Zadie Smith is a writer.
I love Zadie Smith.
Yeah, can you just, what is it that you love about her writing?
Hers was the first novel that I finished in a long time because like when I was...
Is that White Teeth or Swinging Time?
No, Swing Time. Yeah, Swing Time. Yeah, and it happened to be while I was in London shooting the last season of the last season that I've shot, not the last season of the show, but
Netflix has snipers.
Yeah. Netflix PR is right there. They said.
Felt a late.
yeah.
I got nervous for you.
We spoke about the Titan, not 3 days, but I'm like, it's the last season. Netflix is
Yeah, they would come down.
sniping us. Zadie Smith. Yeah, what is it? I'm not sure, to be honest. But
recommend her essay on Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
why
I do love that. I was thinking of her more as a novelist, but yes, actually, that is the thing that opened me up to her. I mean, she wrote about really fame and celebrity and what it says about all of us, as opposed to just the famous. She wrote about that in an essay. I don't remember the title of it, but what she's doing is she's connecting Justin Bieber as a modern icon of like, the love object. Mm-hmm. She starts out with Michael Jackson, but quickly goes to Bieber and spends a lot of time on Bieber, and then she connects it to a philosopher, Martin Buber, who is, and it's brilliant, by the way. What she does is like,
you're like, Bieber, but
it's so
she plays
it's
with
so
like the
good.
last names. Yeah.
And now I'm going to stumble over this, and I feel like you two can help me. Because I've been sticking it all night, but I think this is the one.
You did a great job, Penn Badgley.
This is the one.
Get a freebie.
This is the one where I'll fall. What is it? It's the. Have you heard of the I thou? Is this something that this is what Martin Buber as a philosopher?
I have to admit, I was confused by that part.
Okay, yeah. So it is deep, and I'm not going to be able to recall it.
It's pretty much, I think, what we found interesting about the piece, because I hadn't seen the essay until you talked about it in an interview that we were reading.
So
we
you
were
guys,
like, oh
wow,
we
okay.
haven't read this. Penn
Yeah.
Badgley taught us something, so we read it.
Yeah.
And I think the big part of it was about Justin Bieber. Does he even know, like, what does his body feel like with all this fame?
Yes.
Yeah, she says, like, with that kind of fame, does it even still feel like you're a person?
Yeah.
Right, and I have to say, like, look, I speak about this openly, not ever complaining. I just want to be clear about that. But I am a witness to, we all are, the specter of fame looks down on us all. We live in a celebrity-obsessed culture, you know, no doubt. Like, it's a symptom of delusion, you know, it is, absolutely. I am one of the few people who's on the other side of the line that exists, but I'm witnessing the same phenomenon, so I get to see the inner workings in a different way. That's all, you know. And by the way, everyone else on the other side of the line is probably able to put it into a better perspective than I often am, because I'm constantly like exhausted by the inner machinations of it. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times it's an incredibly dehumanizing experience. But you know, for instance, like right now, this does not feel that way at all. Like, this is like, to have an authentic conversation and to have like authentic response. That's phenomenal. And the appreciation that some people might show in any given moment is lovely. The case by case, the particular can be lovely. What becomes universally true, though, over time, statistically, is something that she's speaking about. And she, you know, and I think, like, how many more icons do we need to see either take their own lives or die through overdose or just become crazy, or, you know, how many more do we need to see to be like, that's a pretty good case study, you know? That's a pretty good case study on what this does to an individual. And, you know, I personally feel like I'm just in this sort of the lower basin of something towards the upper echelon, so I get to see a lot of it, and I experience it, but it certainly, I know what it takes for me to stay grounded. I mean, whatever that means, but like, I you know, for me to be able to come up here and drop bars, what it takes is, like, I mean, there are times, you know, I actually was thinking before I came on, I was like, if they ask me how I am, you know, because sometimes I will, and again, I'm not, it's a distinction between venting or complaining or like trying to bear witness to a phenomenon, right? Yeah. And so I have to say that it is something that takes a whole lot of energy. A whole lot of energy that I don't really think any one person is meant to process, to consume, to have to transmute in order to maintain some kind of, you know, authenticity. So it's just, you know, I think in a more just society, we absolutely would not have celebrity, like, it just period, just period. And if I could sacrifice mine for one small step towards that, like, happily, I just don't exactly know how to do that yet.
God,
you know?
labor organizer, radicalist about celebrity. We love that.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I know we got to get ready to let you go in a little bit, but I do want to. I have a question from someone in the audience, an excellent question that I think relates to kind of something you're very passionate about, and then I have a petty question.
Please,
I'm so excited.
Please.
It's taken everything I had not to spill the beans on this one.
I got it. It came. I've been, I've been mulling on it. This question comes from, I believe, Justine Smith, an NYU music business student.
Okay. Get out. I'm kidding.
I was trying to like read the question. Like, what the really, also, Justine, you have lovely handwriting.
I'm into the music business, just to be clear. Not of this room. When
you said producing, you meant film and television, not music producing, right?
I guess what she's asking that I think is really interesting about the idea of getting into character when performing. She said, essentially, like, as a director, because you've directed at least one episode of this season of You.
Only one.
Yeah, and I know you work as a producer and you
make
a project. So we know what it's like, or have some sense, I guess, you know, the sense of you getting into character as a character. What's it like getting into the mode of the director? How does persona and character come into play when you're doing that work?
I mean,
I hope I did right by you, Justine.
Yeah, and I really.
It doesn't matter. I mean, you can't do them.
I also. I wish you well. Is that you waving over there? It's
hi, Justine!
It's so hard to. It's amazing how hard it is to see.
Yeah, you can't see anything.
Right? You really can't see like that far. I really wish you well in your career, by the way. Like, that's, I was just, the business of anything is tough, right?
I can't believe you said get out, get out.
I know, that's wrong.
Are you Jordan Peele?
Nope was one of my favorite cinematic experiences
okay.
of, like, the last 10 years or 15 years, I think, honestly.
Good movie.
Yeah, loved it. Directing. It was, for this particular role, because I'm already, like, it's such a technical role where the whole point is that you're sort of in Joe's head and seeing through his eyes all the time. So it's far more technical in nature, and the things that I have to do on set are just not typically what you would do as an actor. Like, I have to be conscious of every moving part in a way. It's just, and then there's the voiceover. So
Because you don't talk very much.
No. It's unbelievable. Like, you really can't feel how little I speak on camera until you are on
watch the
set.
show with that knowledge that, like, he actually doesn't speak when you look at him.
There's a TikTok that shows
really cool
scenes from you with your narration taken out, and it's
just you being creepy.
It's boring. It's just like, this dude that's a serial killer right there. That is, like, make no mistake. But directing was great because I actually, like, so you can hear a little bit how my mind works. Like, don't always need that. It was great because I was just all hands on deck. Didn't need to think really about anything. It was just like. It kind of made playing Joe easier, actually, to be honest. The preparation was very difficult. So much of the work as a director is prep. I mean, it's like, I'm trying to look.
I'm nodding like I don't know what the fuck.
It's like, it's not, the work on set is just a product of the prep that you've been able to do. I was not able to do hardly maybe 30% of the prep that a television director would normally get to do because I was shooting the episode before that one. But I've been doing like 4 seasons of prep in a way. So I was able to, I felt like I was kind of at the top of my game, but I was in London without my family there for that period. If they had been there, I would have not seen them and they would have been in London for nothing. And it was like so extreme. It's another one of the extreme delusions of our industry that you can like keep doing that forever, And all the stories about, kind of maniacs in our business. It's like it was an incredible opportunity that I really loved. I do not think I will direct an episode of television again. I will be directing other things, but not
television.
Yeah, television.
I don't think so. The infrastructure of television is tough. It's just like you start behind. You the first 6 in the morning. It's like, all right, we gotta go. And I mean, it's a boring part of the answer, but it's true.
Saeed, before we let him go, can we unleash the Kraken of your question?
So just a reminder, friends, this episode will air, I think, in August.
Yes, August.
Penn has some sense of what I'm about to talk to him about. I recently went on vacation with Sam and Zach and several of our friends and my boyfriend in London to see Beyonce Memorial Day weekend. It was great. She's incredible. The last day of our vacation, my boyfriend decided to cheat on me.
Yeah,
That feels planned.
Literally the last day. I had already left the country. Yeah.
How long?
Last day of the vacation. How long were we dating? About 2 years.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I mean, we're probably about to make some jokes, right? But
it's gonna get funny.
Oh, it's gonna get real funny.
I'm sorry.
It's funny that no one's in jail right now.
And
honestly.
how recent?
Yeah.
How recent?
This was a month ago, maybe.
2 weeks ago.
That's hard.
I was like, how should I deal with this? I was like, I know what I'll do.
Yes. Who said that?
Is that that's?
Yes. That was wonderful.
It was a great delivery.
Our last night of, at some point I'll write. Also, could you imagine doing this to Saeed Jones?
Yeah.
Which is to say, could you imagine doing this to a memoirist? The last night of our vacation, I was having drinks with our friend Brandon, who's here in the audience tonight, and I got back to the hotel and I couldn't open the door because my boyfriend had a man in the room.
Yeah.
And tried to get me to join them.
Yeah.
So.
And didn't unlock the door, which I said you didn't break the door, and you said.
I was like, I don't love him enough to break the door.
There we go.
I think in some intuitive, I'm still processing and stuff. I'm not trying to put a brave face, but in that moment, you feel something in your body.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I was like, I don't know. I was like, the moment I was like, there was nothing in my body that made me want to break through that door and say, how dare you? He wasn't my man anymore at the moment he did that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. What useful information. So my question is, so we were in a... So my question is, and this was in London, and as it turns out, I was also dating a sociopath.
See, it all tracks. There's a reason why we're asking Penn Badgley.
We were in a long-distance relationship. He lives here in London, if he's in this room.
He lives here in New York.
He lives here in New York, and I live back in Columbus, Ohio. A lot of his stuff is still at my apartment. Penn Badgley. Yeah. Should I destroy his stuff?
And if yes, how?
We
have a professional serial killer.
You said put it in a submersible?
In a faulty submersible.
I don't got that kind of money.
I'm glad this is coming out in August.
I will raise the money for you. Okay, we will figure this out.
Thank you. Mwah. The temperature in the room, for people listening who are not here at I92NY, I need you to understand, the chemistry of the room has changed dramatically.
Yeah. On a molecular level.
I feel like what it did was it consummated the bond.
Yeah.
Now everybody's just like, burn it!
Yes.
I mean, what things?
Shoes, shirts, ugly shoes, ugly shirts.
I mean, I'm a terrible person to ask fun questions to because I start to think about it very practically.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, where are you gonna burn it? Like, it's.
But no, that's why we're asking you.
It's Ohio. There's a lot of room.
I mean, because I'm reading bell hooks, all about love, new visions. I'm just thinking about how much we all really hurt and how much in our culture we avoid that pain. And how much of our culture is defined by distracting ourselves from that pain at all costs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know this. I mean, so I think none of that means anything. The stuff here. I think here's the difficult truth: is that whatever you do with it, at some point, it's going to have to pass through your hands.
Woo, Lord. Don't stop, Penn. Please don't stop.
And
just
pass through my hands, bitch. Those words just pass through my body. Right.
Wow.
And like you said, that moment that you discovered he was no longer your man, I think that's once they pass through your hands, they're no longer anything you need to worry about.
Jeez.
Now
you're making us better people. Oh my God. I said burn it and break the door down. I was like, girl, the Standard Hotel would have been burned down in London. Arson, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously get that totally, but yeah, I just think look, here's what I'm in the business of in my life, and I think no joke, I've had a couple nights in a row, a string of connected dreams, like super intense, and they all were. I cannot believe I'm sharing this on stage in a podcast.
This is a safe space. It's a brave space.
It does feel that way.
Yes,
yeah.
It is.
They all, I was thinking about. It's very intellectual sounding, but I felt it. I felt it the way you can feel it in a dream, and I woke up and I was like with whiteness and maleness, and it's gonna connect. Just like all the violence there, and. In some parallel fantasy world where it happens to not be white men, it's some other socially constructed idea of a particular
Wakanda.
Color of skin, and it's like some other gender, whatever. It's just if that was the power construct, we wouldn't call it the whiteness or maleness, but it would be the thingy. But what would be consistent is the violence. What would be consistent is the negation of feeling. What would be consistent is the avoidance of intimacy and the lack of love, ultimately. You know, and the first step towards love, which is, I think, contained within that is, of course, healing and many, many other things, is to actually witness and accept and bear how you have not had love. Ooh. That's hard for all of us, but the sooner we do that, is the sooner we have love. You know, and so I told you not to ask me a fun question.
I love this. I love it.
So, you know,
Bashley took us to the mountaintop.
You know, it's like, you know, so there's levels to it. It's like, there's the fun meme response, right? And then there's like, well, what are you left with at the end of every day? Yeah. So yeah, so I feel like I'm just I'm imagining, like, of course, you don't want to belabor it, but it's like, I wonder if you were to pick up one of these objects and let yourself, even just in your nervous system, like, just let yourself feel the loss and and I'm sorry to say this on stage in front of people, but like, I've been betrayed before. Most people have. The betrayal. Yeah. Betrayal is a unique form of pain.
Yeah.
And
a unique form of violence.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And, you know, but you have to feel it, and
Amen. Thank you.
Someone said you have to feel it and then burn it.
Yeah, and then burn it.
I love
Read bell hooks and then burn it.
You know,
yeah.
That's a great note to end on. I will say, you know who does burn things ritually?
Who?
Joe Goldberg. Yeah, there we have it.
And that's why we asked, well, Penn, thank you.
A man.
Thank you.
A full man.
Let's stand up.
Thank you.
Penn. Thank you. Oh, thank you. That was go on through that. Oh my gosh, thank you, Penn.
Wow.
Woo!
I really thought asking a serial killer what to do with a man that betrayed you would have been a lot more satisfying.
Ashley loves philosopher. I love it. That was beautiful. I
almost
feel
cried.
like, you know, he knows. He's like, I don't have to do it because he's like, as soon as this event opens, the doors are going to open and an army of vibe check listeners are going to be unleashed on the city of New York. Okay, we're going to take a quick break where we're all going to write down at least 2 things that Penn Badgley said, because he was dropping bars.
Yeah. He said, "Would it pass through your hands?" Well, we'll be right back.
Break. Great questions. Those are a lot. There's more? Okay, pass them to the front. This is still part of our break. We'll cut this out. So we're going to we have time for three questions.
Yeah.
Look, that went on for 10 minutes longer. This is the first time in my life. I said, you know what, Saeed? Let that straight white man talk a little bit
my God,
longer.
my sister's here. Oh my God. This is my little sister Monet. Oh my God, why are you here? She doesn't live here. Oh my God. That just made my whole day.
Sweetie,
wait, my sister heard me talk about Chipotle? Oh God. That is really something. Wow.
Lost my balance. Okay, you wanna take the
Yes.
first one?
Yes. Oh my God. Ooh, we're doing this one.
Okay.
Okay. So someone writes in, how do I break away from a guy that ghosts but randomly keeps returning?
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. So again, how do I break away from a guy that ghosts, meaning they just leave you, but keeps returning? Yes, block them. Who said that? Y'all are healed. Therapy, hooks, yeah.
Therapy, honey, it's healing.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna keep walking through that door as long as that door's unlocked. So lock it.
Yeah.
Lock it.
It's very much that fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on whatever, that thing. Yeah.
Right.
Me either. Yeah. If he keeps returning, you've left the door open too long, close it. Please, God.
These are okay, and also these are really good questions. So if we don't get to them, we'll do them on a future episode. Okay. Did someone say something about Beyonce?
We're on tape for that.
Oh my gosh, these are your. Okay.
You get to ask the next one. I'm not picking right now.
Okay, I'll just. This is really beautiful. Is it? And do you mean like productive delusion? This is the question in purple. Where are you? Here. Were you thinking? Okay. So is it? The question was: is it only essentially productive delusion when Black people believe in ourselves?
Wow. Is that productive?
Well, I mean, I'm my business, so I don't know what other people are doing. I mean, I can't speak for other people. I guess what I will say is the thing about Black people and our relationship to, and I love that, like, he was like, no, it's like actually this delusion is actually like your relationship to the truth in regardance, in contrast to the falseness, right? Like borders, I realize, are a delusion.
100%.
I think the thing about Black people in productive delusion is America will never let us forget what it is willing to, has done, and wants to do any chance it gets. Like, we know it so pointedly, right? And none of us know it better than like Black trans women, for example. So I think that's why maybe it's a little bit easier for us to find the value of productive delusion, because it's like we have these like barbed wire guardrails around us. Now, if you are a very wealthy cis white person, like, your relationship to privilege, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? Like your relationship to privilege is really going to inform how you navigate that. Because my thing is, I think delusion, it can only be productive when it's in your body. I think the moment your delusion is being inflicted, right, it basically involving someone else, whether that's interpersonally or whether you are a teacher, a parent who insists on misgendering their child, right? A school board member insisting on, you know what I mean? A president. Like the moment that your delusion is about other people and that privilege, I think that's when harm is being caused.
Yeah, 100%.
And Black people, it's not that we can't cause harm. It's not that we cannot cause harm. But I just think generally speaking, it's like.
Yeah. And it's hard to answer that question without acknowledging that Black people, like Saeed and I, are here because of delusion of colonizers. People who arrived in Africa and ripped our ancestors, away to be part of the delusion of what their empire was going to be. And you think a lot about...
believed what they were doing was noble.
Yeah, noble and right and good for the world. And you think, it makes me think a lot about Octavia Butler's writing, and how she offers us that Black people are from the future, because it was an alien experience for folks, white people from Europe, to come in with ships and technologies and to rip us and to bring us to a place where we had to create community and family. So I think when we talk about Black delusion, we have to first address the fact that we are living every day in the delusion of white supremacy, and that we have to find a way to breathe within all that. And once we do that, then we can begin to dream. And that's why we just love Black people, Black women so much, and the power that they have, because they're caring so much, and yet they're able to take on more. And I think if delusion allows you that capacity to carry more, then you should activate
We have to believe I will be able to make it home safely tonight.
Yeah.
And and effort and hope and resilience and delusion has to be stitched into that belief, because we are very aware of just how many of us don't make it home safely night after night.
Yeah. Woo. Well, thank you for that question.
That's a beautiful question. Beautiful question. One more?
Yeah.
One more before we go into New York and set shit ablaze. I mean, thoughtfully.
If you would like to march down to Union Square, let me know. That's where this person lives. That didn't disclose too much, sorry. We'll cut that. That's a very large place on there. I don't know, Saeed, do you have one that you're really passionate about over there? I love all of these, but I don't know if there's one.
You go.
How do you know when? You all, let me say, all these questions are about relationships. And I'm gonna say lie to that man or leave that man for a lot of these.
One second, let me read.
Yeah. Yours, I may not have yours. I like this. I want to get it because it's poetic. Someone writes, I read recently that when you like a flower, you pick it, but when you love a flower, you water it. What do you all think about that?
Oh, I like that.
Right?
I like that.
I mean, I love that, but do you think about that as a practice? Is that how you practice friendship, I guess, or love? Would you say that's a good definition of love for you?
And beauty. I mean, so because to water it, right? To allow to go. To remark. It's like the color purple. Like you can't just walk by the color purple. You have to acknowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's you to witness the flower and not decide to cut it off means that you are receiving the gift and giving other people the opportunity to receive the gift, right? Right, yeah. and that's why gardens are just so beautiful. And I think Toni Morrison spoke really important, like that beauty is a necessity. Yeah. So yeah, we can use it as a metaphor, but yeah, I think let those flowers stay. Take a picture. Yeah. Look at it for a moment, then move on. But you don't need to snatch it away.
Yeah, and I would add that and this ties into Penn Badgley, honestly, is that when you love someone and you're not a serial killer, you don't need to take over their body. You don't need to take their agency away from them. You don't need to stop them on their own journey, on their own growth, all these other things. So when you see a flower that you love, you should make sure that it has the resources, the air, the space, everything it needs to survive. And you also leaving it in that pot, the grass, wherever, is acknowledging that it was beautiful before you were there and it will be beautiful when you leave. And that's a process of life. Of being
what I heard Penn is so keen. What I heard, kind of woven through so much of what he was saying about power and control, right? And what was it, power, the power to do something and the power to is that capitalism really has us fucked up in the game. Period. Right, and it's not just about business and economics, right? I think capitalism, right, the idea of commodities, possession. What can I extract from this? I think it has really poisoned our perception of things like friendship, of things like love. I think that's what he was trying to say. Do you love that person, or are you trying to control that person? I think a lot about with celebrity. I think, for example, part of the problem is that to idolize someone is to dehumanize them. It's very hard to genuinely care for someone if you are putting them on a pedestal. The moment they're on a pedestal, they are a commodity, right? And even if you think your relationship to it is positive, it's not human anymore. And so I think that's kind of the idea of that. I think we need to. It's beautiful. Yeah. How do we interact with this beauty in a way that can grow, that can blossom, that can continue? And that beauty could be a literal flower, or it could be a friendship, or it could be a person. It can be a child. So many people in this country clearly are actually parents, not because they want to bring another life into this world and nurture that life, but because they want to play God. Yeah. They want to be a fascist. Yeah. With the full power that comes with parental rights, right? They are more interested in having a captive flower, right? That they can contort like a little bonsai plant and do whatever they want to it, right? And that's what you see, where people basically, it's very clear, a lot of these parents, when we talk about queer kids and pronouns, it's very clear many of them would rather their children die than their children have the opportunity. And you said this the other day, that part of it, they don't even want their kids to play. Yeah. Right? A lot of, I think, identity stuff when you're younger. I'm not trying to denigrate, the validity of young people's identities, but also it's experimentation, play, trying on a new pronoun, trying on a new name, a gender, seeing how it feels to go by they then. Maybe you change your mind, maybe you stick with it. I think that's perfectly human. Yeah. But they would rather have their children be little carbon copies of themselves and their lack, as he was saying, their lack of love, than them actually be people. Yeah. Whew.
I'm really shook. I'm weirdly emotional. I saw my sister. I talked about Chipotle. Penn Badgley was here. There's a lot that's happened. A lot has happened tonight. But I did not think I would walk away from tonight thinking about love and how we can all look at how we love people and use that to understand our own framework in which we maybe are dealing with control, desire, jealousy, all these things. But think about how you're loving someone. Are you snipping the flower, or are you letting it grow by itself? And what does that say about you? That's really something today.
Love lives in your life.
Yeah, how love lives and how you let love live outside of your life. Yeah. Well, with that.
Phew.
I need a drink. Thank you so much. That's our show.
That is our show.
Thank you to everyone, really. I can't even say.
Thank you for honoring us with your presence tonight. Thank you, 92NY. Thank you, Penn Badgley.
Yes.
We love you.
Yes.